Now, after winning the French presidency last month, Emanuel Macron and his party is set to dominate the legislative elections. At the end of the first round of voting, polls indicate Macron's La République en Marche, or Republic on the Move, is in a position to garner a majority of anywhere between 390 to 430 seats in the National Assembly. The second and final round takes place next Sunday. But is France truly ready to accept Macron's remedies to fix decades of unemployment and economic stagnation? Joining me now live from Paris to help us answer that is our editor-at-large, Craig Copetas. So, Craig, the opposition looks like they've been crushed underfoot, but is that really the kind of victory that Macron needs? In other words, could it create problems of its own?
Yeah, the only problem Emmanuel Macron has right now is he'll have no excuses. Look, people here in France woke up this morning with headlines that said the United Kingdom was in chaos, that America is rebranding itself the United States of Xanax because everyone is having a nervous breakdown over what's going on there, and Emmanuel Macron is on the road to winning 80% of the French National Assembly, and 40% of those politicians are women. This is remarkable news. The socialists do not exist anymore. The National Front has got into hiding. The loony left of Mélenchon right now is like the crazy uncle in the attic, and if Marine Le Pen of the National Front gets a seat in her district up north, well, she's going to be the loony aunt standing up and screaming every now and then. Macron has an incredible mandate. The question remains, can his courtiers handle the expectations that the French people have put on him?
Loonyism on both sides of the channel then, hey, Craig? I mean, the problem, though, in the past has been that if there has been this thumping majority for one party in Parliament, that dissent goes out onto the streets. Is there a possibility that that could happen in this situation?
Well, of course it could, but all the protests in the past have been engendered by the Socialist Party in the left wing, which no longer exists. They actually lit the fire on all of that. Macron now has to enact new employment legislation. He's got to look at lowering taxes on businesses and perhaps personal income tax. He's looking at a major education overhaul, which, by the way, includes making sure that people here start learning English at a very young age, because he has already done these internet campaigns and television and print campaigns trying to lure Western businessmen and scientists, English speakers, to France, and they don't speak French. So he has quite a basket of things to accomplish, and the biggest one in it, I per se, is what's he going to do about Brussels and the European Union?
Indeed, there is that. Let me just pick up on the labour reforms, though. He is going to have to negotiate with the unions if he is going to push through those labour reforms. What position are they taking with Macron?
They're starting to cave. The reality of the unions here is that most of the union people here are getting old. Young people really don't want to join the unions. They want to do stuff on their own. What Macron has to do is bring in all of France's various pension systems together. And he's got to make sure that the unions get a fair shake, but he's got to enact employment laws that will allow major companies to get rid of people without paying obsessive fines, prohibitive fines just for getting rid of people because there's no work. That's been pretty much accepted, and Macron hopes to shove that through by diktat sometime this summer. Okay,
so Craig, there is that. Let's also talk, well, let's talk about the EU. As you say, he is going to be dealing with Brussels with regards to EU reforms. Tell us a little bit about his position with regards to Brussels.
Well, look, this is the elephant in the room, because Macron has pledged, my words, not his, but to do what David Cameron couldn't do or refused to do, reform the EU. He wants to defenestrate the EU the same way he has defenestrated the French political system. Now, there's a lot of areas you can focus on this, but I would submit to you as that the biggest lingering problem in the EU right now is Greek debt, and whether Greece is going to get debt relief, which the Germans don't want to see. Well, Macron's foreign minister, Le Maire, just recently said that he supports debt relief. So if Macron's going to go to Brussels with that agenda, he's going to get a lot of blowback from the Germans. So I suspect there is going to be a very private, perhaps not so quiet, fistfight between the Germans and the French somewhere down the road on just how you redo the EU.
Interesting times for Europe. Craig Copetas in Paris, thank you so much.